Peace, Spears and Mics. I'm Zulu King L1, and up top is your brother Zulu King Just P, and we have a special guest with us today, a real honorable brother, man, a dear brother of ours, Zulu King LastMan out of Calafia Zulus.
Man,
Salute, for
Peace,
salute.
real,
peace,
peace and
salute,
love,
salute, salute, peace and love.
peace and love, King, for real. Thank you for coming on.
Good
You
Yes,
seeing
know,
you.
sir.
we honored to have you on here, to hear your story, man. I wanted to get this one for a long time, and I appreciate you
Word,
making
word,
time for us on Spears and Mics.
word, word.
Word, man.
Appreciate
So
y'all. Yeah,
last,
yeah.
yeah, last man. Um, man, what's up with you? You good? What's going on with
I'm
you?
good, man. Just getting in from work, man. Be working. I work with formerly incarcerated youth, and you know how like myself and Rasilan and all of us down with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. You know the call is what's the call? Free them all.
Yes,
So
sir.
really, that's the mindset of free them all, right? So I work. I'm one of the housing managers, regional housing managers for some group homes that the Jail Guitar Doors, my nonprofit that I work for, opened. Basically, the concept is free them all. We work with probation and the judges where we got these young youth that are locked up. Most of them, caught bodies, things like that, got tried as an adult. And when the law changed, they got their fitness and they got adult life and they were able to get out, you know what I'm saying? Or they might still be up
Mm-hmm.
in there. My company originally started going in the jails and the camps and the juvenile halls recording music. We still do that. We go in with the laptops and we record them in there. That's how we first started. Then we built the full blown studio, recording studio. I mean, like when I say fully blown, like the dopest shit, right? We also have a videography, everything like that, podcast, all that stuff, right? And so basically it's called the Capo Center Community Arts Program Outreach is what it is. And basically we go to the judge and we go to probation and we say, hey, look, you can leave him in here gangbanging and doing fuck shit, and he's gonna maybe keep messing up or whatever, or you can put an ankle monitor on him where you can monitor him at 24/7. You know where he's at. I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna put him at work at the Capo Center. He's gonna get paid while he's being trained to do
Mm-hmm.
videography or to be an engineer or whatever like that. You know what I'm saying? They get to make their music in the meantime too, and basically, we're sending them out with careers. You know what I'm saying? And in the meantime, they got a job, and then when they leave the job, they come to the group home, and they at the group home. You know what I mean? They can earn passes and stuff and go visit their families and shit after they get
Mm-hmm.
right. You know what I'm saying? But like, but basically, we let them know you could leave them in here where shit's gonna get worse, or you can get them. We can help you rehabilitate them and mentor them to be productive members of society. You know what I mean? And the whole time they're monitored 24/7. Not only do they got an anklet on, but they at the job with us, they at the group home with us. So you can leave them in a cell or you could put them outside where they could do something. And 9 times out of 10 it works. They let a lot of them out, and we got a lot of young men and a couple of women, and you know what I'm saying, like at the house right now, I think I got 8 youth. I think we got a couple more coming soon, so it'll be 10 youth soon. You know what I mean? From the eight
Mm-hmm.
Jail Guitar Doors is really from 16 to 26, but the youth at the house right now is like from the ages of like 17 to 20. You know what I'm saying? And that basically I'm at work all the time, bro. Like I work 70 plus hours a week. I'm about to get off with y'all and I go in at midnight and I gotta take them to work at
Mm-hmm.
10 a.m. And I only get home, I only come home twice a week, man. My lady hate it. But my pit bulls hate it more than that, man. They drive me
Right, right,
crazy
right,
because
right.
they like, where are you at?
Wow. That's
Yo,
great
So
work, King, for real, man. Salute. That's dope.
yeah,
yo,
for me, I didn't do a lot of, I try to teach these youth and mentor them the same way as like, don't do dumb shit. Don't do dumb shit with your homies. I did a lot of dumb shit growing up. I'm in a gang, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I did a lot of dumb shit, but I quit actively gang banging or doing illegal shit at a certain age. I became a father, started being responsible, stopped doing the dumb shit. And for me, I always did my dirt by my lonely. The only 2 times I've ever been busted in my life was because somebody snitched. One was a warrant came to the house for somebody else that wasn't even for me. They didn't know I lived there. And another time somebody snitched on me. So it's like I try to tell them, like, if you're gonna do some shit, do it right. If you're not gonna, but I hope that you don't do nothing. I'm trying to teach you to stop doing
Right,
shit.
right,
But if you're
right.
gonna do it right, or you just gonna keep going back. You know what I mean? So I never did a lot of jail time. I've done jail time, but I never like went to prison or nothing like them. But I did grow up in a group home. Like my stepfather abused me really bad. Like, I mean, like if me and you was fighting right now from the age of like 8 to 13. And so like by 13, they had pulled me. I was a runaway. They found me, pulled me out the house, you know, in the streets, put me in the system. And from 13 to 18, I grew up in a group home until they emancipated me. So I feel like it's just, for me, I got to give back. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in that environment. So it's fulfilling for me because I feel like, you know, I'm giving back. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
that's pretty
dope.
much.
There's so many questions I can ask you because like I work with at-risk youth. I'm trying to transition to like alternative to incarceration program and things like that. Do they, I mean, just one quick question. Do they are they state their incarceration, or is it like a federal, or do you have a mixture of both? Like
Mostly, like, you know what I'm saying? Mostly, I don't really know the details of that. I want to say state.
Okay.
Like most of these, you know, like what they call each other now, YNs, right? They all these young dudes, they all shooters, bro. Most of them got bodies. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and like, that's nothing to be proud of. I teach them because sometimes they be talking crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? They get live and whatever, and they be like, "You ain't did shit," blah 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 blah. But like, they live, and I'm like, "Bro, you proud of that? You proud that you hurt somebody, hurt somebody's family? You proud to go to jail? Like, that's nothing to be proud of." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just try to mentor them and tell them, you know, it's a better way. But you know, some are there for drugs and other things. I don't really think none of them is coming out the feds. I think it's all state. It's mostly they coming out the camps and the juvenile halls. You know what I mean? Everybody we dealing with is youth though. Once they're tried as an adult or they've committed a crime as an adult, they're not eligible for our program. So right. So,
and this is specifically operated in Los Angeles County, or is this
Los
like
Angeles, California. It's called Jail Guitar Doors. It actually the nonprofit existed, I think, in Europe before it was in LA. A brother named Wayne Kramer, rest in peace. He's from a famous group, MC5. I don't know if y'all ever heard of them. They really set the precedence back in the day for what happened with Nixon and Watergate, because the government was watching them. They was revolutionaries, white dudes though, rockers, and the government was watching them and put phone taps on them and shit. They was the ones that was the White Panthers that Fred Hampton said start your own thing. They got the white Black Panther, same Panther, but with the wings. That's white. I don't know if y'all seen that before, right?
Yes, I have.
Right.
Yep.
So they beat them and showed that they couldn't have phone taps and shit. And so when that case went down, Nixon was like, boom, get over there, get these shits out of Watergate. And then they got caught with the Watergate shit. But really that precedence was set by Wayne, who's the founder of our program. You know what I'm saying? He passed away like, it's been almost 2 years ago now. But he's known in you know, what's his name from not Zach, but the guitar player from Rage Against the Machine. He sits on the board. Yeah. Yeah, Tom. Yeah. He sits on our board. If you see, like at the Hip Hop Awards, when they did the native tongues thing and all that, not too long ago, what was that? That there was the Grammys. Or what was that last year?
Rock and
Remember
Roll Hall of
native tongues?
Fame. Rock and
Rock and
Roll
Roll
Hall
Hall
of
of
Fame.
Fame. If you see
When
Tom,
Tropical Quest was inducted.
when they shoot to the crowd, you see Tom. He's wearing a shirt that says Jail Guitar Doors, and he's wearing a White Panther hat. You know what I'm saying? So like him, a lot of like famous people get down. Wayne was real tight with Chuck D. You know what I mean? Chuck D knows about us and works with the programs and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
peace to Chuck D, Long Island legend.
Peace. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Word, man. All right, so that's dope, man. I got a lot of respect for your work. I'd like to get into like a little bit of your history, the early, you know, who is LastMan? Where were you born? Where were you raised? You know, tell me about yourself as a youngster. Give us a little background.
As a young kid, man, my family is from a small town off the 20 in Texas called Eastland, Texas. Little country podunk cowboy town, you know what I'm saying? But when my dad left when I was 3 And my mom, she's always been an educator, you know what I mean? She taught me like at a young age to read, and that school was important and stuff. She was a teacher when I was a kid, and then she became a school psychologist and then a diagnostician. And they offered her a job. She was just a single mom. They offered her a job in Dallas. So we moved to Dallas when I was like, I want to say I was like, I did kindergarten in Dallas, so I was like 5, at least 4 or 5,
Right.
right? I
Probably
moved to
5, yeah.
Dallas. Yeah. So as far as like the hip hop, that's where the hip hop started. I can't tell you necessarily like what was the first shit. I just know by like the 3rd grade, like I was rocking parachute pants and bandanas everywhere and fat laces on my Pumas, and like we was carrying the cardboard. Like I was carrying my boombox. I still have my boombox around here. You know what I'm saying? The one that I had when I was a kid. I found it at my grandpa's house one day. I went to visit my grandpa in Texas, and I was like, "That's my box." And he was a Sunday school teacher, rest in peace. And he said, "I record." He reads to himself out the Bible and stuff, and records certain things and takes notes, and he records it on tape, plays it back to get his lesson together. And I was like, "I want my box," and he was like, "I use that to do my lessons and stuff." So I found my grandma, and she had a tape recorder. I brought the tape recorder, and I was like, "You could use
Took that
this, Grandy.
box.
I need my box." You know what I'm saying?
Word.
So,
I seen it.
but yeah, I just grew up around. That's Joe Conzo's box. Joe Conzo hooked me up with that box up there that
Oh,
you
that
happen
one
to
right
see.
there.
But I got mad boom boxes around here. But I'm saying the one I grew up with breakdancing and carrying around, I still got it. But yeah, like by the 3rd grade, I was breakdancing, all that. That was my first element. I've always drawn. I've always been an artist ever since I was a little kid. Before I got into graffiti, of course, immediately, you know, went from breakdancing into the graffiti. You know, even on my cardboard was like the Fat Boys logo, the Run DMC logo, the UTFO logo. Like I would copy the logos and draw them and marker on our cardboard that we breakdanced on. You know what I'm saying? And then it just led from that into graffiti, and then I got too fat to breakdance, you know what I'm saying? But I'm still heavily involved in the b-boy culture. Like I'm always at all the b-boy battles and events and stuff. Like everybody knows me. Sometimes I host the battles and or judge things like that. But you know, I'm still heavily involved in the b-boy culture. I just don't dance no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? But and then the hip hop rapping, like I don't even know how that happened, bro. But I just remember by like the 6th or 7th grade, I was already like battling kids. And I remember like, you know, like I moved from Texas to Anaheim, California, you know what I'm saying? And then my family moved to Santa Ana. That's in Orange County, California. That's where me and all my homies grew up. And I went to school in Santa Ana, and it was a kid who came from Compton. And it was a young brother who came from Compton to our school, and they was like, "Oh, he know how to rap. He know how to rap like you know how to rap." You know what I'm saying? The kids used to gather around me. They called me Master Rapper. That was the name they gave me. And they used to like, I used to bust my own shit, you know, like banging on the tables like we do and stuff, you know. But I used to bust my own stuff with my homies, but the kids didn't want to hear that. They would like gather around me at lunchtime. Sometimes the proctors would come and the principal, because they would think it was a fight, and they would have me like up against a tree, and they would make me be like, "Relax your mind, let's just be freeze, get down to the sounds of EPM." They would make me bust other people's rhymes. They like, "No, bust Run DMC, rock you rock the house." Like they would have me on crazy shit like that, and that the name they gave me was Master Rapper. And so I had this reputation of knowing how to rhyme or whatever. And then like when kid came from Compton, I guess they was like, "Oh, he could rap like you." And they was like, "Yo, they set up a battle." It was kind of like the battles are today. Like, you know, we didn't grow up battling like that, my era and our era, you know, it was just off the dome. But this first battle that I ever got in was kind of like that. It was like, y'all gonna battle at lunch on Friday. So we had time to like try to write our rhyme and prepare, you know what I'm saying? And I thought I thought I had him gassed, bro. Friday I got served, bro. Friday I got served, and I was like, I'm never gonna let that happen again. And that just fueled me to be like, because I was already like the fat kid. You get picked on being a fat kid. I was already the white boy that hung out with all the black kids. I was already the white boy that had on the Africa medallion. Like, I remember them making fun of me, like, "You're not black. You're not, why you wearing that?" And my PE teacher was like, she took me up to the front and she dropped science on me. You know what I mean? I'm wearing this because our favorite MCs has got it on. You know, let's keep it a buck. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was Africa. But she stood me up in front of the class and like dropped the science on Nelson Mandela and the African National Congress, and this color black stood for the people, and the green was for the land, and the red was for the blood, that what I was wearing was an anti-apartheid symbol, and blah 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 blah, and broke it down for the class because they was like making fun of me, like, you ain't black, why you wearing that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I even wore it with more pride, you know what I mean? Because I knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was just like that was pretty much the start of all that stuff. Was like, getting served that day, that Friday, was like, yeah, I'm not letting nobody do this to me again, because like motherfuckers is clowning me, like, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, you can't rap now, the white boy got served or whatever, type of shit. And I was like, nah, that's not happening no more. And so, over the years, like back in the, like, when I was young, like I'm 50 now, but like, shoot, my son is 25. So when my son was like a baby, like 3, you know what I'm saying? So I'm saying like 22 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever, stuff like that. Like, I was paying the rent winning battles. That's where the name Last Man came from. You know what I mean? Because I would always be the last one on stage. Like, they would have the same jokes. They would come with some white boy shit or some fat jokes or whatever, and like I would just kick knowledge on them. I mean, y'all seen me before with my locks, but Rasta Man got knowledge, bro. Like, I would just drop knowledge on them, and like I would drop the science, and like I would win. Because it's like, what are you coming with some bullshit? We from that era where if you kicking skills and you got knowledge, then you're gonna pull it off. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just what I did, and that's why I got the name Last Man. You know
That's
what I'm
dope.
saying?
We were gonna ask you that. What was the science behind that name? But that's super dope. You got anything for him, P? Or
I mean, I liked how you said you were the last man. You being the last man on stage. I like how you said you were the master rapper and how they gave you that name. That's an ill name. You should have kept that. You know what I'm saying?
That shit is fresh, right?
that's
That's what they
a
called
tough
me. The
title
kids
to
called
live
me
up to,
Master
though.
Rapper.
That's a tough
Master
title to live up to.
That's dope.
Right.
Tough title.
That's dope. When did
Yeah, it
you
Yeah,
is.
that
first?
was the
Last
name. That
Man
was
is
my
dope
first
too,
rap
though.
name, and that was given
Yeah.
to me. It wasn't like something I picked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Growing up with my folks and stuff, like, my name was CeeLo, because my name is James, but every man in my family is named James. Like, my Uncle Tip is James Tip, my Uncle Ford is James Ford, my grandfather is James Luther. They call him Luce. Like, everybody if you say James, everybody gonna turn around. So we all go by our middle name. So my middle name is Craig. Everybody in my family calls me Craig, and so my name was CeeLo. That was my gang name. You know what I'm saying? And I used that as my rap name, but then when CeeLo Green came, I was like, I can't use this no more. Like, there's this dude from Goody Mob who's big and famous now. I can't have his name no more. So I just kept winning the battles, and somebody said, yeah, you the last man. Like, I think it was DJ Drez that said it, you know what I'm saying? And DJ Drez said, yeah, you the last man. You always the last one on stage. You should go by Last Man. And I was like, okay, that's what's up.
I always thought that episode of Sopranos where they were like Tony Uncle Al and Tony Uncle Phil, and because everyone was named Tony.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't in Goodfellas where I think the whole family had like the same 2 names for the women and the men. I was like, that's crazy. And then you
yeah. It's some crazy Italian shit. Yeah.
I never met anybody until you. That's ill. That's dope. Dope.
Yeah. That's just kind of a family tradition. My baby mama, unfortunately, didn't let me name my son Elijah. She didn't let me name him James. But the majority of my family, almost every male in my family, their first name is James.
That's up.
Yeah.
That's up.
That's
When
dope.
did you first come to the Zulu Nation? How'd that happen?
So again, a Rasta man is a craftsman, right? I've been making. Well, let's hit off with the medallions, right? Back there in Texas, when I was a kid, I had this kid up the street. I'll never forget his name because it was crazy. His name was Hanky Chong. He was Chinese, and his father did import-export from China. And when we all played G.I. Joe Cobra, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had our fatigues and stuff. Like, Hanky had like a whole black ninja outfit, the ninja shoes, everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had all the dope shit, like all the Transformers and shit that came out. Like, he had that shit before we had him. He would come with like, he had, like all the shit, and then we would get that shit maybe like a year later, you know what I'm saying? Because his dad was bringing shit from China. And so one day he's rocking the Africa medallion, And I already knew what it was from hip hop, from seeing, you know, rappers wear it. And I was like, yo, I kept trying to get him to get it to me, to trade it to me, to, you know, let me buy it off you. He wasn't having it. And one day I got him to let me borrow it, let me wear it. And I took it home and I was looking at it and I was looking at it. And I was like, fuck this. I took it apart. And I took it apart and I figured out like how it was made and put it back together. And then I just started cutting up my mom's purses and using like a hole punch. Like it wasn't even a leather punch. Like I was like, you know what I'm saying? But I made all of us medallions. Like I cut up all the black purses and red purses and green purses, yellow purses. Like I tore her shit up. She was pissed.
If you was
But
Puerto
yeah, I
Rican,
made
you
us
would have
all
been killed for
medallions.
that. You would have been killed for that if you was Puerto Rican. I promise you that. For real.
Chancla
That's
would have hit
dope.
me, huh?
Yeah, a flying
Yeah.
chancla would have
So
took you out.
Hanky, little Chinese kid, he brought the African medallion and I figured out how to make it. So that's where that started. So like, you know, as I became Rasta when I was older, you know what I'm saying? Like a Rasta man as a craftsman, you know what I mean? I would make jewelry, I would make all type of stuff, and I would make medallions. And you know, shouts out to my king, Zulu King Mark Love. You know what I'm saying? Mark Love, after Africa Islam, was the head of the LA chapter. And in '98, he came up to me. I was at a show, a hip hop show, but I had like a merch table. You know, similar to how I do when I go to the anniversaries and stuff. I have medallions on the table and stuff. And
Hmm.
he bought 3 medallions off me. I remember he bought Africa and stuff, but he bought like a Bob Marley and a Marcus Garvey medallion off of me, and and he was like checking them out, and he was like, "Yo, these are dope. Where'd you get these? Whatever." I was like, "I made those," and he was like, "You made these?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Yo, come here. I want to talk to you." And he was like, "Yo, I want to put you down with the Zulu Nation." And you know, I knew what Zulu Nation was. I grew up, you know, on tribe and native tongues and all that. Like I had mad. Like I'm a Jungle Brothers head. Like I love the Jungle Brothers, and De La Soul is like my favorite rap group. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I was like, "What? You want to put me down with Zulu?" You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, "Okay, cool." And he was like, "So that was in '98. He put me down with the Los Angeles chapter of Zulu Nation, and he made me the head of merchandise. And I made our first Zulu LA T-shirts, our medallions, all that type shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was when I first got down with Zulu Nation through Mark Love in the LA chapter. And so that was in 1998. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. I want to say, when I first met you, which I can't even recall what year it was, you know, early 2000s, I believe, you know, I don't think we met any earlier than that. Seeing you at those tables and you having the dopest medallions that I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot of different people, different Zulus, specifically Lucky Strike. He used to make different medallions. He had a lot of dope ones. He used to discourage like Zulus from wearing like the red, black, and green beads because it would look like gang beads. It was just plastic ones. A lot of Zulus in New York City was wearing black bandanas too. Um, and he was like, "That's not how you represent. Y'all represent Zulu. Y'all making us look bad. You should have a dope fly medallion like this." Now, I don't know if he was doing that to be a salesman and have us buy his merchandise. We was buying it
Yeah,
anyway, but we was still
yeah,
wearing the gang beads, like Zulu style, like red,
yeah.
black, and green
So,
beads down to our waist, our belt line.
yo, my
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I can't believe
Right, right.
yo.
Yeah, it was bad.
I
It was
believe
a bad look.
like how I believe how like we had the
That's
medallions,
crazy.
right? And him and myself and others,
Nah,
Zulu Gremlin and others have had medallions, right? And we always had like the flags that had there was leather, what they carved in the leather, like let me see. Another one is sitting up here because I had needed to fix some, but like this is vintage and dirty, but I keep it like that. I'm not gonna ever redo it because it's old. But this is the first Calafia Zulus medallion.
Mm.
right.
So you got the
Peace to all the
bear.
Calafia
You got
Zulus.
the bear is to the right, representing right knowledge. If you look on our California flag, it's to the left. So the star in California, um, the star represents solidarity. You know what I'm saying? Their independence from Spain and all of that. So the star, the original California flag was just a white banner with a red star. Now it has
Mm.
the bear with the star on the right. That represents solidarity. So the star represents solidarity. The bear represents right knowledge, and obviously the olive branches represent peace. So the original heads from Calafia Zulus that got down in 2009, the very first members of the chapter have this medallion, and this is the back.
Right. Fire.
So
Classic.
we was making medallions like this, right? And I have to explain to them like the black top and what that means, right? A lot of them have red, black, and green because they're not a king or a queen. This is my medallion. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
So you have the black
So
top, right?
yeah, right. So like we always been making medallions like this, right? I think from my understanding, I was the first person to take like an image and do the laminate and stuff like we do now, because
Right.
people were requesting things that were too detailed for me to carve out of leather. You know, you
Mm.
guys have had me make you recently Zulu Union medallions with, you know, with the Puerto Rican flag carved in the leather. Certain things I can do, you know what I'm saying? But like,
Hmm.
I can't take Chapter 7 logo or your logo, 2-5 logo, and carve that out of leather. That's crazy. Like, you know what I'm
Right. It
saying?
will be too
Like
too.
maybe a
It's too
machine could do
intricate.
it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like
Yeah. So
laser
I
type.
started
Yeah.
thinking like, how can I take this? How can I take this image that they want for their chapter or whatever and put it on a medallion? You know, and I remembered like, you know, like this is my homeboy Raj G, rest in peace, right? But we always had the medallions. Like when his funeral came, it was a button, right? I took the buttons from his funeral and made myself a medallion out of it. Remember, we always had the medallions that somebody put a button in. It might have Marcus Garvey or Bob Marley. Like those
Mm-hmm.
were the ones that Mark Love bought from me. It was a button. And I thought of the
Mm.
button and I said, wait a minute. I don't need the whole fucking button up in there. I could just take the image and laminate it and put it in the medallion. So I started making medallions of Haile Selassie, medallions of Bob Marley, medallions of Marcus Garvey, Huey P. Newton, whoever, Malcolm X, right? And then, you know, that eventually evolved to me making Zulu medallions for chapters and things with their logos on them. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I never really saw nobody do that before me. I've seen it since then. I've seen other people, you know, do that style or copy that style, whatever you want to call it. This shit don't belong to me, bro. I just am good at it. Like I'm not the
Right.
first to do this shit. You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna say, oh, somebody copied me or whatever, because I copied someone else, right? I copied the medallion that Hanky brought back, right? So, you know, like to me, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we just do work, bro. Like that's what we do. We Zulu, we do work. You know what I'm saying? We Rasta, we, you know, the gods and earths, whatever, you know, we're people with knowledge, you know what I'm saying, and we want to represent that flag around our neck or represent that knowledge on our, you know, my hat is Nike, is red, black, and green though, right? It means something
Mm.
more than just Nike, right? To somebody
Right.
like me or you or just who understands
Mm-hmm.
it, right? To somebody else,
Indeed.
I'm just wearing a Nike hat. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So like
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's like I just want to like, you know, I just do me, bro, and just doing me. I got good at that shit. You know what I mean? I'm good with my
Very
hands.
good.
You know what I
Very
mean?
good to
So
the fact that you've been sought out by,
World.
hundreds of Zulus worldwide to make medallions. And I know that somebody, had reached out to you for Nas, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? For Ultra Black.
right, I got a call from the sister named April, and she's Nas stylist, and
Mm.
she hit me up and she said, peace, it's a couple people. My brother Akil here in the hood. He owns a place called Soul Folks. DJ Kilu from Freestyle Fellowship, and one other person, I can't remember who it was, but April had hit up people like, "Yo, do you know anybody who make the old school medallions?" You know what I'm saying? I want to have Nas like kind of just ice in the video. I want him with a gang of medallions on, and I want him with the leather crown with the Africa on the top. Right? That's like
Hmm.
the look we want to do for the Ultra Black video. And she was like, yo, I hit up a couple of people and everybody's like, last man, they gave me your number. Like, she's like, all roads lead to you. Like, everybody told me hit up last man that I know. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what's up. She's like, can you send me a couple of pictures of your work? So I shot her a couple of pictures. I told her who I was, and I told her, you know, I've been making the medallions for Zulu Nation for like the past 15 years, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And she said when she hit Nas, he didn't even want pictures. She said everybody said, go to this kid, and this kid makes the medallions for Zulu Nation. And when he heard that I made the medallions for Zulu, he was like, good, he good. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
dope. That's dope. Um,
yeah. So he wanted all
you.
black medallions. The only one that's not black is like there's one that he's wearing that's black and it has the Africa, and the Africa's black and white snakeskin. But all the rest of
Mm.
them are black. But one of them has the Queen Bridge on it. One of them has like Onk. One of them they all have different designs, but they're all solid black because it's ultra black, right? Ultra black is
Right.
the video. So yeah.
Oh, that's
So
dope, man.
I've done his medallions.
Huh.
Trugoy from De La, as well as Mace, PA Mace. I see Maceo wearing my medallions a lot, Zulu medallions.
Peace to
Other
Mace,
heads
good
here and
brother.
there. What you call it? I don't know if y'all had. I'm pretty sure y'all had it out there too. The Contact High exhibit with the photographs from Contact High. The contact paper photos from like
Hmm.
everybody like in hip hop. It's like all the like photos, right? So
Hmm.
this exhibit that they had is like all photography, right? And so we went to the museum where it was, and like there was only 3 things in that exhibit that weren't photos. There was Rakim's jacket, his Dapper Dan jacket with the universal
Hmm.
flag on the back. There was Biggie's crown, Biggie's gold crown, and I
Hmm.
hit the corner, and it was a Universal Zulu Nation medallion, the one that looks like the cross colors logo, but it says
Hmm.
the Universal Zulu Nation that I made, and
Hmm.
it was on beads, but it didn't say my name. It just said it was just there in a case. And I was
Right.
like, this is crazy. And the
You know,
people
you
who
were
were throwing the
tripping.
exhibit, I was like, yo, I made this. I was like, I made
Mm.
this. Where did it come from? And they was like, oh, that was donated by Ernie Paniccioli for the exhibit. But I guess
Hmm.
like they didn't, Ernie's my brother. I guess it was one of his medallions that he had got from me. But
Hmm.
yeah, that was an honor to be in a photo exhibit with Rakim's jacket and
Well,
and Biggie's crown and my medallion. I was like, and we the only things here that ain't photos. I was like,
right,
this is
right,
fresh.
right.
I felt really, really like honored when I hit the corner and seen
Yeah,
that.
no, of course, as you
So
should. Incredible
yeah,
work, and you deserve all the props and
right,
accolades because whenever I buy a medallion, it's from you. Nothing against nobody else. I just feel like, you've always
right,
worked with us and try to like, you've beyond making the medallions, you've created logos for different chapters. You've given us all these different visions and
yeah,
ideas with your artwork. And I appreciate all of it because a lot of it you did off the love. Like, hey man, don't give me nothing. Just encourage people to buy more medallions from me. Just help me, keep
right, right,
on,
right, right.
you know, just keep on eating.
Yeah,
And
if I can take your vision and draw it up, like, and I gotta give shouts out to Zulu Queen Junebug from Calafia
Junebug,
Zulus,
yeah,
because
piece of Junebug.
I'm not a graphic designer, you know what I'm saying?
She does it
But
digitally.
when whether it's 2-5 medallion or 2-5 logo or whatever logos that I've created, you know what I'm saying? I draw that shit up and then I give it to her, and she takes whatever I drew and makes a graphic of it. You know what I'm saying? Colors it and makes
Hmm.
it, and sometimes she adds her own flair to it and sends it back to me, and I'm like, yeah, that shit is fresh. Let's rock with this. Let me see what they think. You know what I mean? So she add a little something to it sometimes, or sometimes she just, you know, what do they call it? Renders it. She renders it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Into and make it a digital graphic. So yeah, without her, a lot of shit that I mean, the majority of medallions that I did back in the day when I would come to New York and stuff, and I would have, the Zulu flags and stuff. If it was an image, it was because Junebug helped me figure out how to get that image onto. I went to her and I said, hey, look, I want to take the Jive logo and make it Zulu. I want to take the Loud logo and make it Zulu. I'm the one who made that Z's up with the 7 up. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I said,
fire.
I want to make the 7 into a Z and make it say
Hmm.
Z's up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Junebug helped me to take my ideas and manifest them. So I got to give
That's
her
dope. Peace to
just
the
as much
queen.
props as me on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
Most
yeah.
definitely, most definitely.
So
What do you
she's
feel
like
like
the
you're
mother of our chapters. She's been there since the beginning.
no
No.
doubt. Peace. Great respect to her. Great
Kind of like
honor
Kitty Wu is the mother of
to
206,
Seattle.
and
Yes, indeed.
Sapphire was the mother of their
Chapter
chapters and stuff. You know what I'm
16.
saying? Same way.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah, chapter
Copy that.
16. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what was it like for you? Cause I would say out of all the out of state Zulus, I would see you the most in New York, aside from Chasm. I would see you in New York every year, and
Mhm.
beyond being in New York, you were usually staying in the projects, usually staying with the brothers, getting the full effect of not just the pretty New York, but the gritty New York. And being out there from California, like what was that like coming into New York, being in Bronx River, being in Stapleton houses? Like what was that like for you?
It was wild, yo. And I tell people all the time, I don't know if it's the flag around my neck, the African medallion, the Zulu medallion, or if it's it. But I don't think it's just that. It's just me. You know, if you carry yourself correctly, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody really gonna trip on you. I'm also a big dude covered in tattoos. I don't look like motherfucker to fuck with, you know. I'm not a little skinny kid. But at the same
Hmm.
time, like, you know, I'm not black or Puerto Rican, but I walk around in Staten Island, I walk around in the Bronx, I walk around in Brooklyn, I walk around in Crown Heights. I walk around in Harlem, up and down 125 in Lenox, everywhere. Like, I be everywhere, sometimes solo, by myself, on the train by myself, you know what I'm saying? All up in the
Hmm.
Bronx, walking through Bronx River to go visit Asa late at night by myself, you know what I'm saying? Caught the
More.
train, caught the ferry, and caught the train from Staten Island and left Righteous in Staten Island and go visit Asa. And I got to walk to his house through Bronx River. Other people tell me, like, yo, Ness trips off that shit. He's like, yo, your motherfucking ass walks through Bronx River at night by yourself. You're the only white boy I know they don't get fucked with. You know what I mean? But like,
Peace to
it is
alienness.
what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I just do me, bro. Like, I met Righteous and Zach, you know, in Force, you know, peace to Shaka Zach. I met Righteous and Zach and Mauricio, rest in peace. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? To Mo. I met
Go,
them
brother.
in Chicago, you know, when Cassius made me a king and wanted me to start Calafia Zulus. He really wanted me to reenact the LA chapter and bring it back because Mark Love and Yoda, Lord Yoda X, rest in peace, was traveling
Rest in
around, you know,
peace.
doing a lot of stuff with 206 and other chapters all over. And the LA chapter was pretty much defunct, like it wasn't active, you know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
Cassius and Bam wanted me to reactivate the LA chapter. And I told him, I'm not from LA. I'm from Orange County. I'm from Anaheim. I'm from Santa Ana. I'm from Long Beach. You know what I mean? I live in Long Beach. Like, now I live in LA. I'm here in the jungles right now in the projects in LA and South Central. I've been up here like in Leimert Park, Project Blode since the 90s. Like, this is where I be at, but I didn't live here, you know, even though I was from the LA chapter. So I told him, I don't think I'm the one to do that, but I'll start a new chapter for you if you want. You know what I'm saying? I'll
Right.
get it cracking on the West Coast again if you want to get it cracking. And so
Hmm.
that was when, you know, they made me a king and had me start Calafia Zulus in 2009 at the Fire Conference, and that's where I met Zach and Mo and Righteous and all them brothers embraced me. Shakim, rest in peace. You know what I mean? Other Shakim, you know what I'm talking about, from Black
Hmm.
Watch. But
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, all them brothers embraced me, man, and just showed me love. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to talk on the dead, but it was a lot of problems, bro. You know, they was like, you know, how you a king, you know what I'm saying, how you a chapter leader, you know, and it was problems in the beginning. And I just had to stand my ground. And one of the things that was funny is, like, when I came home, I had Zulu King Righteous Zulu King's jacket, the one that has the flags on it and
Hmm.
the the
Yep.
the
I
the
know
the
which one
the
you're
the,
talking about.
uh, the original face and all that. You know,
Hmm.
the ones they got that's the quilted material, like him and
Yep.
Yoda and all them had, right?
Yep. I remember the
Righteous
jacket.
gave me his jacket. I gave it back to him one year in New York when I got too fat for it. But he gave me his jacket, and when they tried to tell me, like, yo, you ain't who said blah 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 blah, I came outside with the jacket. I was like, this who said? Who else got this jacket? You got this jacket? You know what I'm saying? You
Hmm.
talking crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, no disrespect to my king, you know what I'm saying? But he wasn't really happy in the beginning because, you know, I believe that, you know, he's told me straight out, you know, I wanted to mentor you more and see you grow more and get out of the gangster disciple shit and be more, you know, be more ready before I made you a Zulu king or I let you be a leader. You know what I mean? And they jumped the gun, you know, without addressing him, and he's my king. So I should have came through Mark Love, right? And when I didn't, you know, it was funk. And him and Yoda had some funk and other people, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. I just stood my ground and did the work, bro. I was like, I don't care about the title. You could call me Comrade Last Man. Like, I don't care about you calling me a king or anything. Like, I'm still gonna do the work regardless. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that was just what it was, you know.
No doubt.
So I remember, I did I meet you at Gaucho's or did I meet you later? Because I met
Me?
Sapphire and Shakim and all of them, yeah, Gauchos. Like at
I'm not. I'm
Gaucho's
not.
gym. Filthy had
I'm
his
not.
dreads
I
long.
don't think it
I
was.
remember
I don't think
Filthy
it
came
was
up to me and I introduced
Gauchos.
myself as Zulu King LastMan.
I
You
don't think it
know?
was Gauchos. I think it
Okay.
was.
That was where I first.
Maybe it was the Kennedy Center in Harlem on 134th and Lenox or 135th and Lenox.
That's that picture that
I
me and you and Justice in that picture. Yeah. I think that was
think
the night
so.
I
It
met
was,
you. I think that was the
think it
next night,
was.
but we was at Gaucho's. We was at Gaucho's the night before, I think. And that's where I
Okay.
met Filthy and all of them, you know what I mean? And I remember even then, you know, Filthy was like, yo, who are you? And I was like, I'm Zulu King LastMan. And he was like, you Zulu King who? I ain't never seen you at a Universal and at you know, the National Black Theater be crowned king. Like who are you? What are you talking about, bro? So it was
Right.
a lot of shit went down. But you know, these are my brothers. Filthy's my brother. Like, and I'm
No
glad
doubt.
that I went through the blood, sweat, and tears with motherfuckers and I had to show and prove, you know, because that's what a real Zulu do. Like, I don't just get given this shit. I gotta earn this shit,
Right.
you know? So
No,
Can,
definitely.
can you touch, my bad, can you touch on the affiliation with the Gangster Disciples as much as you can, or as much as you want, and how that relates to you being
well,
like,
first of all, that faction changed in 93, right? When I was growing up, it was BGD, right? In 93, part of the people went Black Disciple, part of the people went Gangster Disciple, right? But then that's now changed to growth and development, right? We not under the 360, we under the 720, right? So Chief has told us, as well as the other leaders, that we, you know, I was taught at a young age, you know, not to gangbang. I wasn't allowed to gangbang. If I'm out there gangbanging like these Bloods and Crips, like we in violation, you know what I'm saying? Like our elders would fuck us up. It was supposed to be about political and social development. Before I ever heard about the Panthers or anything else, I learned political and social development through GD. You know what I'm saying? And like all I can say is like the brothers that I grew up with here in California in Orange County, like my folks C-Note, you know what I'm saying? My folks Jit, you know, rest in peace. My best friend Trey G, rest in peace. Like all of their uncles and fathers and all of them were all from Chicago. They was all GDs. And these are the young kids that I grew up playing with, hanging out with before we ever was anything. But you know what I'm saying? I just happened to be amongst these Chicago people, and this is just what we grew into. You know what I'm saying? Like that was we wasn't fucking with these other weirdos when we had a structure already in place with our elders. You know what I'm saying? Not to call nobody no weirdos, that's fucked up. But we wasn't doing no other extra shit. You know what I'm saying? Like we had a structure laid in place. We had we had to learn. You know what I'm saying? We had you know my you know what I'm saying? Like my OG knowledge, who really was the beginning. Like he gave me this book when I was a little kid. Knowledge, rest in peace. The Making of Black Revolutionaries. You see, this book is thick as a Bible, bro.
Oh, it
You
is.
know what I'm saying? So like, I've been learning this stuff from my elders. You know, you know in the beginning of that book, it's something I'll never forget. As a quote, you know, before I read Frantz Fanon or any of that, there's a quote by Frantz Fanon in the beginning of that book, and it says, "A society." What does it say? That a society that treats its members. What does it say? Second class. I gotta think for a second. But basically, it's saying like a society that treats its members as like second class is a non-viable society, a society to be replaced. And so like this knowledge was like in my head, like we gotta restructure this. Like shit is fucked up. We gotta replace this with what's right. You know what I mean? We gotta do right in our neighborhood. We gotta do right amongst the youth. You know, of course, we did all the dumb shit. We did end up gang banging. We did end up having enemies. We did end up drug dealing and robbing and stealing and doing all the fuck shit. But you know, my homie, rest in peace, was a pimp. He told me when we was a little kid, I'm gonna be a pimp, and he grew up to be a pimp. Like talking about gators and his nails done always like this, and glasses and Stacey Adams on and silk suits and all that. My best friend Trey G, like rest in peace, like we was little kids, just white t-shirts and dickies, bro. And he grew up to be like a pimp, bro. He told me I'm gonna be a pimp, and he was a pimp, bro. Like, and when I say not just the way he dressed, you know, he had hoes on the stroll. You know what I mean? That's nothing to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's just where we came from. You know what I'm saying? That was his
Right.
hustle. He was like, this is what I'm gonna do, and he did it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, you know, I don't want to touch on that shit too much because I don't like to glorify that. It's a lot of motherfuckers, you know, GD and BD and you know what they call it out there, the Cho and Woo, and there's all this weirdo stuff going on that I don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? Like killing one another and robbing one another and you know, I don't Woo and Chew, my bad. And but like I don't agree with a lot of that stuff, bro. You know, so like I
The
don't
Woos
like to
and the
glorify
Chos
that,
and the
but this is
Blickies.
not something I ever stepped away from. Yeah, this is not something that I ever stepped away from. This is something that I hold dear to me, and I try to teach others, my young homies, something different. You know, it's a lot of little dudes, you know, that came up under me that they consider me they OG, and like they doing a lot better than they was doing before I got in their head. You know what I mean?
I could
So,
respect it.
you
I
know,
remember
and
when
I'm
me and
doing
you.
better before knowledge and them got in my head. You know?
Right. That's what's
I
up, bro.
remember when you
You say you
first
remember
told.
what?
I remember when you first told me that. I was like taken back at first by like I was like because in New York specifically, right? Because like the politics is different and our upbringing is different within the Zulu nation in New York. Even though the base of it is hip hop, the foundation is knowledge, right? Because knowledge is the foundation of all in existence. Zulu has always been tied to the street elements. It's always been like a street function within us,
It's kind of a
within all the
gang, yeah,
chapters.
yeah,
Yeah, like it's not a gang, but
yeah.
yet
You
it
can't
is
be Zulu
somewhat of
and
a
be
gang.
something else, right?
Right. So even in New York, right, we used to have the no
Right.
cross colors. We couldn't cross colors. You couldn't date somebody that was in another gang. You couldn't be around people that was in another gang unless it was some type of peace treaty. So it was just weird, like at
Yeah.
first, but then I respected it. And I talked to Bam about it too, because I was like, yo, like, what's up with dudes like being in other gangs in other states? Because in New York, you could just be Zulu. That's it. You can't say I'm Latin King and I'm Zulu. You can't say I'm Nieta and I'm Zulu. You can't
Right.
say is you Zulu and that's it. You could be Zulu and 5%. You could be Zulu and Muslim,
Right.
whatever, right? But like he was like, yo, in different
Yeah.
areas, if they was down with something in the past, he's like, yo, that's like is good to have people if there's a beef with us and them, that's gonna be the brother to diffuse it. You know what I'm saying? So like that was his idea behind it. Like, you know, if like
Right.
Ice T was Zulu and he has a relationship with the Crips based on his previous lifestyle, like whatever, like he'll be a brother that could bring it all together and piece it out if we ever had an issue with the Lokes. You know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of how it was
Right.
explained to me. And then from there I respected it. But I always knew that in New York we would never like a dude can't tell me like, oh yeah, I'm Zulu, but I'm also this. Is you gonna be Zulu or you be nothing? You know what I mean? But that's it's just different politics. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But I
Other than Black
respected.
Spade,
Right. But that's
you're not
right,
anything if you Zulu. Right.
right. Exactly. So you know,
Yeah, I mean,
but
I
I
know. Like,
respected
it's
it.
a medallion hanging over here. It's a medallion hanging over here that Asa gave me. It's a
Hmm.
red medallion, Africa. It just says Shaka Zulu on it, right? And Asa was like, "Yo, I want to give you this because you the medallion dude. I feel like you should have it. You know what I mean?" And I was like, "What
Right.
is this?" And he was like, "Yo, it was a brother who used to be down with us. That was a Shaka from Soundview, and he became a blood, and he passed away. And when his family was going through his stuff, his brother found this Shaka medallion, and he brought it to me." And so it's hanging here with the rest of the medallions. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So,
crazy.
but I understand that like once he became blood from Soundview, he couldn't be Zulu no more. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like that's I understand that like, because I hate to say it, but like you know Zulu at times has been like a gang in New York. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
fought with other gangs and stuff. But you know
Yeah.
it's not what we want to do, but it has
Right.
happened. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
Yeah,
So
and
real quick, I'll
you're not the only
just
one that there's caches. Oh no, I was just, shout out to everybody that, you know what I'm saying, that's from another movement. When I had the
right.
even no funny, when I became I when I became low life, I had to talk with L, and they're not even on it like that on the gang tip. But just because I'm official Zulu since a kid, you know what I'm saying, I had to talk to L
right,
Biggs like, yo, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, and
right, mm, right.
That's dope.
Right. And I've heard from like Mo, rest in peace, and Righteous, and then in some other places, brothers are Latin kings in they Zulu, in the South and Florida and other places, or whatever.
Right,
I don't know the
right.
details, you know what I'm
I've
saying, but I've
seen
heard things like that. Yeah.
right, there is. I saw Zulu King Chilsky, he said he had a background of being a Latin king from Miami, and whatever, like, to
Right.
each his own. It's not New York, you know what I'm saying? It's a different vibe, it's a different energy. But what I wanted to say is this, to close that like street organization discussion out, right? When people in the
Right.
mid to late 90s, when Blood and Crip came to New York, right? Even though it started in jail in 93, but it really didn't hit the streets till 96, 97. As it emerged, right? All of my peers were just becoming Zulu in their 14,
Your mic
15,
keep going
16
in and
years.
out, L.
Oh, word? Yeah, I think it's
Like I can't
P.
hear you at all right now.
All right. Hold on a second.
Okay, now you're back.
Now you hear me? All right, cool. Yeah, P dropped out. So
Okay,
people
there we go.
people were leaving.
You're
People were
going in and out
leaving.
bad.
All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Um, P. Hold on. Let's close this one out real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold
The
on.
mic is
Don't
bad though.